2 impressions too.
Ooh, Tyler's gonna come in hot with some Spider-Man 2 impressions tonight. But first,
That's my impression.
what's up, fanboys and fangirls?
Impersonation, I guess.
Welcome back to another episode of the What the Fanboy Show. I am Brett. To my left is Tyler, and
Gang, gang.
to his left is Luke.
I wasn't walking out because I was mad. I was walking out because that was embarrassing.
You were walking out because apparently that's the thing to do this week.
I'm a walker outer now.
Yeah.
Fun fact:
That's how I live my life.
Luke walked out of Killers of the Flower
I
Moon.
walked out of Killers of the Flower Moon.
I can't wait to talk more about that later.
We'll talk about it later, and
But-
I'll explain why. I walked straight out the door. Straight out.
True story, it happened. Before we get to that, we gotta talk about new trailers. Anyone see anything new come on out this week for trailers?
I feel like there was one.
I don't have any written down, but I do remember, I think it was during a football game. No, I think I saw it on Twitter. There was a clip from Taika Waititi's next movie, The Next Goal Wins,
Oh, yeah.
of the Michael Fassbender showing up and being announced as a coach. I think that movie looks awesome. I think it looks really funny, and I think it's going to be nice to have original creative Taika back, and not Thor Taika back. But I'm excited for that movie. So.
I did see I don't know if it's new or not, but I did see another trailer for The Killer during a football game this weekend as well.
Also Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, also Michael Fassbender. And
also
I think it
Taika.
looks good.
No, it's not Taika. Oh, it's Fincher.
Yeah.
The opposite of Taika.
Yeah.
It's sitting pretty on Rotten Tomatoes, 81%.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that's good.
I saw
other good news on the. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Tyler.
Other good news on the Rotten Tomatoes front. The Holdovers is at 97%.
I'm hyped for that movie, man.
I know, it looks great. So I'm
Steph
excited.
and I
that
watched
it's
that
reviewing well,
trailer, and she was like, "That looks awesome." And I'm so glad that she's into that kind of a movie.
Is that the big fat liar guy?
Paul Giamatti.
Giamatti and the kid at school?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that movie looks awesome.
Yeah, it's reviewing really well, so that's encouraging that movies like that can still get positive praise.
Yep. I think last week we mentioned the new Monarch show had a trailer, but kind of next to that, in the greater Godzilla verse, Godzilla -1 had a new trailer come out this week. Minus one. And I am so excited for this. This movie just keeps looking doper and doper, and I'm here for it.
This one looks like it has like the biggest budget they've done for an Eastern Godzilla movie.
It looks like it kind of bridges that, kind of Japanese Godzilla and like Western American Godzilla. It's like, let's give them it's not saying one is better than the other, because I think they're both two very unique flavors, but it does kind of feel like a meeting in the middle of CGI quality, I guess is how I'll say that, because I think there's something incredibly unique about how like Japanese Godzilla has always felt a little more like a guy in a costume or an animatronic or a puppet, kind of thing, or stop motion. And this just kind of has a little more of a cleaned up feel in the looks department, but it still feel like the vibes I'm getting are still very much like classic Japanese Eastern Godzilla. So
especially with like the movement and stuff.
Yeah.
When does it come out?
Yep.
December 1.
Where?
Everywhere.
In theaters?
Yeah,
Isn't it on
in
Netflix?
theaters.
Nice.
No, it'll be it'll be in theaters. It may go to Netflix quickly, but I don't think it's a Netflix original. I can double check that.
I don't think it was.
I don't think so.
Nope, it's December 1 in theaters. You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you
Do
good.
they often get released in theaters over here? Like, was Shin Godzilla released in theaters over
Shin
here?
Godzilla, I don't think was, or it had a very limited release. But they've kind of been growing in popularity. I
Mhm.
know, that's one of the things, we talk a lot about kind of what a lot of the negative streaming has done for the industry, right? But some of the positives being that some of these films that have been around for a long time are kind of being rediscovered because,
Mhm.
Netflix or Amazon or whomever took a little bit of a chance, got those distribution rights and threw them on their platform. And, it's not like you have to be subscribed to HBO on the cable channel and you have to come across it at the right time of night. It's just there in the library, and with social media and how things word spreads, it can get a pretty influential following pretty quickly if it hits right.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
Streaming isn't all bad.
whoa, hot take indeed. All right. If there aren't any other trailers, we can jump into our Killers of the Flower Moon review. Tyler, did you get out and watch this?
No, I was not able to. My sister left Sunday, and I just did not have time.
That's all good, man.
Yesterday,
Spending
so
time with family is
I am
important.
excited. I'm excited to hear about it. And it's based on a true story, so I'm not overly concerned about spoilers. Obviously, you guys aren't gonna go rip spoilers, but uh, yeah, no, I've been curious about this movie for a while, so I'm excited to hear what you guys think.
For sure.
It's also just hard to find the time to see it anyway.
Yeah.
Because
it's
it's
long.
3.5 hours long.
Yeah.
Which I know is going to turn a lot of people away, unfortunately. And like driving time and trailer time. So that's like for me, I live 10 minutes away.
Mm-hmm.
So 30 minutes of trailers, 3.5 hour movie, 4 hours, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Max.
And realistically,
or minimum.
I say realistically, I think, this is a fairly big movie, but at the same time, it's not one that you're going to hear we're not going to be talking about it breaking any kind of box office records.
No.
It was in wide release. It was in, almost it was in a little over 3,600 theaters.
Yeah.
So that's in the US, that's wide release.
I guess I have the box office numbers. I can just mention them.
But I don't think it's even out internationally yet.
It
Is
is.
it? Oh, is it? Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Maybe, I don't know, everywhere, but it is out. 23 US and 44 international. So 44 total. It has a budget of 200 million, which I don't know if you guys saw me
yeah.
before go, oh! It's because I Googled the budget. That is so unfortunate. It's not going to make its money back unless somehow it has great legs,
But-
which would be great, but
It's okay. This was half of a yacht for Tim Cook. It's fine.
that's true.
This came out of Apple money.
That's true.
They're
But,
not
I mean,
missing it.
Yeah.
I guess it could do pretty well on Apple TV Plus too.
Yeah, they are in the business of making award-winning content for their streamer, and that is what this is.
Yeah.
In terms of it's not made to be the big popcorn budget Chris Evans and what's her face.
Ghosted.
It's not Ghosted. This is Scorsese. This is Apple basically giving Scorsese a blank check. And look,
They said go win some Oscars. For us.
I am tired of companies giving directors blank checks. That said, I think this looks gorgeous and
Yeah. And even like $23 million, $44 million total, honestly, isn't that bad.
No.
3.5 hours long. It's R-rated.
Yeah.
It's a historical period piece. Like, it honestly has like everything going against it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So Luke, you walked out of this movie.
I walked out of this movie. Yeah.
That bad.
Yeah. It's that bad to be sitting around next to old ladies and listening to them just yabber on and not be able to take it and just say, you know what, I paid $0 for this movie because I'm a Regal Unlimited subscriber. So I left, and I said, you know what? Live to fight another day.
You were not the only person on social media I saw.
Yeah, you guys were saying Easton had a
complaining
bad time.
about theater etiquette in this film. I think this is one of those examples of it's going to draw an older crowd who are not accustomed to going out. They're probably accustomed to sitting together in the old folks' home, watching a film together and chitter chattering.
Yeah.
The opposite of that is
they don't know how to whisper.
Is the teens on their phones, and you probably didn't have to worry about that as much. But yeah, I would say, kind of the older you get, the harder it is to understand what a whispering voice is. Some might say that I have always struggled with understanding what a whispering voice is.
Nah. You're not a very loud talker. You're fine. I know some loud talkers.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
But no, like it's a whole like just string of events where I showed up like right at 7, and it started at 7, so it actually started at 7:30.
Right.
But I picked a seat in the very back, and these 2 old ladies were sitting in my seat, and I was just like, okay, you know what? We're just not going to deal with the old ladies. So I just kind of sat in front of them and just was like, okay, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I'm in your seat, I'll just be like, all right, I'll move. They're in my seat. Didn't want to bother with it.
Yeah.
Nobody asked me to move. So
how full was your theater?
it was probably like 70%.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
But it was was it one of the smaller? It was not the IMAX.
No, it was this Theater 13.
Okay. Yeah. So
past
down the
second
hall,
lobby, stadium seating.
Yep.
Normal theater. I will say there was no lights on the side.
Oh.
People don't probably know how the Warren is, but they like have these giant totems on the side, and they have lights. And this was just like a blank theater. I think maybe it was the Screen X theater.
Oh,
interesting.
Maybe, and they took those down, or
just weren't using it for this, but they didn't have another Screen X movie to show.
But yeah, I thought that was super weird, and seat was super uncomfortable. And then
hey, those lights are important because if you don't, you could accidentally run into the wall and spill your soda all over the floor. I don't know who would do that, but like it's a possibility.
You have any experience?
No clue. I think I've seen someone do it before, though. Someone on this show.
No. I don't. Maybe not on the show, but definitely someone somewhere sometime did something like that.
Sounds like an excellent story. But no,
I'll
like
have to tell you at some time.
So I sat in my seat and I was like, all right, we'll just watch the movie here. And then through every trivia question and commercials and trailer, the old ladies behind me always had to say something. Trivia question about Taylor Swift came up, and
they got thoughts.
They're like, "Did you know she's 34? She has no kids. What is she waiting for menopause to have her kids?" And I'm just like, "What are we talking about here?"
Oh, I love
then an M&M's commercial comes up, and they're like, "Oh, M&M's." Thank you for letting me know that was an M&M commercial. Then every trailer was like R-rated and had sexual content and nudity, and they're like, sexual content? Graphic nudity? And this is when I started to get really worried. Anyway, 30 minutes go by, movie finally starts. They're just chitter-chattering behind me. So I've been getting them the dad look, which I'm really good at, by the way. I got them to look at each other after I look back at it, which is always a good sign. It's oh, they know to shut up. No. About 4 minutes into the movie, the Osage discover oil. And one of them, in their perfectly normal, stout, granny voice goes, "Oil!" So I stood up, looked her dead in the face, walked to the stairs, and I walked to like the 4th row. It was the front row of the stadium section, and I just sat right in the aisle. I was at this point, I'm just like, are we serious? Are we doing this? This movie's so long. Then I'm watching Leonardo DiCaprio like drive through Oklahoma for a bit. I'm starting to get a crick in my neck, and I was just like, nope. We're gonna try again. We're not gonna do this. This movie's got 3 hours and 20 minutes left. I'm uncomfortable. I'm kind of mad. So I just stood up and I walked out. And I'm curious what the theater was like. Did that dude just walk out and never come back. Like, did you pay for this movie? No, I'm a Regal subscriber, so I paid nothing.
Even if you did, I think the experience alone, you could have gone to the
Yeah,
counter and gotten a refund.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
I think the rule's like half a movie.
Yeah.
Or something. But yeah, I paid $0, so I just got my car and drove away, and I was like, we'll try again tomorrow or Sunday. Then I ended up going and watching it in IMAX on Saturday at noon. My audience was perfect. Amazing. Never heard a peep. Sat in the back right corner. My favorite seat, R1. And it was brilliant. It was a great weekend after that, honestly. Just a phenomenal weekend.
Nice.
So that was a long story. But to make it short, stop talking during movies. Don't get on your phone. Learn how to eat snacks in a movie too. That's another thing. People like to open up their wrappers after the movie starts. Like, no, rip that sucker open.
During previews, just open that thing up.
Make sure your hand fits.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, go get a bowl. They have bowls at movie theaters. You can dump that entire thing out. You can even keep the bag in case you don't finish it. It's amazing what
strategery. What
these people that are made to serve you at a movie theater will actually do.
Oh yeah.
It's their job.
Like, they want your movie experience to be good.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, can I get a bowl for my snacks? If they say no, well, you should complain because that's bad service.
You should have a better theater.
Yeah.
I always buy the candy that comes in a box, and I take it out of the bag and pour it into the box because it's quieter to reach into the box than the bag.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's just a common courtesy thing. Also, like, let Luke's story just be the cautionary tale. Theater etiquette is so bad lately, and, even if it's just you trying to do better, just do better. And if you do need to check your phone, like, check it between your legs. Check it in a place that's not going to illuminate the whole freaking theater.
Turn down the brightness.
It's so dark in there. It doesn't matter how low your screen is. Everybody's going to see it.
Yeah.
Just go. Heck, I mean, if it's a stadium place, or theater, you can just go into the entryway. Just stand in that where it's blocked off. Just go. Oh, that's not important, and then go back up.
Yep. Lots of solutions there.
I'd also just. Something I learned in the experience, if you subscribe to Regal Unlimited, Movie Pass, whatever the other ones have, I don't know
AMC
exactly.
Something.
Just leave.
Subs.
I know, like, time is... You don't want to waste your time. And I know I have a little more of that than most people. But it's fine to just... try again another time. Even if you're not a subscriber, one of the things, just go get your money back and go the next weekend when probably most people aren't going anymore.
Yeah. Week 2 of films these days is typically a good time to go. Mm-hmm. If you're not doing it like we are, which is we're often trying to see things opening weekend so we can review them. Week 2 is great. There are days and times that are better. If you have the luxury of being able to go, middle of a work day, man, you're not going to get anyone there. Tuesdays afternoon, broken roller. Noon on a Tuesday is the best time to see a movie. I agree. If you don't have that luxury, there are still evenings that are a little less populated than others. The other thing I will say, just because this is not Luke's personality, you absolutely have the right to confront someone about their behavior. Obviously, you don't want to make a scene, but...
Oh, yeah, I never do it. The look is as far as I go.
You can ask someone to put their phone away, let them know that you
have done that.
You are distracting them. Hey, that is distracting. Can you please put it away? Can you check it somewhere else? If the behavior doesn't stop, you also have the right to go talk to a manager. Mm-hmm. You can say, hey, there are, individuals in my theater that are being disruptive. They are not respecting anyone else's time, right? Because it's not just
and money
their time. It's everyone else in the theater who spent time or spent money and took time to go watch it. So just know that there are, but don't get in a fight either. Like, that's not gonna help anyone come into blows.
Find the old. They probably still beat me up, man.
I would pay to watch Luke in a fight.
Against old ladies?
Yeah. I'm betting on the old ladies, but I'd still pay to watch you.
I think you could take them.
I'm betting on the old ladies too, and I'm throwing the fight. I'm making money, baby.
Stairs are your best friend in a fight. Just push them down.
I wouldn't fight fair though too. Like
You're scrappy.
I'm going for their eyes, which already don't work very well, so it'll be pretty easy. They're pretty slow, so you can just both at the same time, and it's over. Like you can just.
I love it.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Hey, we should review Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great movie, man.
Luke, what
Yeah.
give me your thoughts. Tyler keeping us on track.
Boo! Keeping on track sucks. I freaking loved it. Walking out and then going the next day was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. Because I think if I would have stayed at that theater, it would have really hampered my experience. And now it's my favorite movie of the year. In my Letterboxd review, I kept my review extremely simple because I honestly just didn't even know what to say. So brilliant in every aspect: directing, writing, acting, cinematography, music, absolutely brilliant. I was just
clearly floored.
You know that the meme is the quote, "This is cinema" for Martin Scorsese. It's just like I could have just posted that probably. This is cinema.
This is cinema. This is cinema. All right, nice. My little one sentence review here is a technically incredible film that starts strong but ends up telling the least interesting version of this story. And I want to caveat that with it may be the only version of the story Martin Scorsese could tell as a white man. Mm-hmm. I think there is a way more interesting story here about culture and assimilation and what does it mean to lose one's culture. But that's not the direction they took. I also think there's a more interesting true crime-esque version of the story. But that's not that's not the way it went either. Mm-hmm. That said, every other aspect of this film I thought was incredible.
Yeah. And I think it's really the only complaint people really even have with the movie that I've heard is that people wish it was from the Osage perspective.
It's just very.
I think it's completely warranted.
Yeah.
It's from Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, and then kind of Lily Gladstone's character Molly.
Yeah,
but
she gets sidelined for like a very decent part of the movie, which I thought was disappointing.
Yeah,
it's important to the story.
Yeah,
but that's kind of when I became less interested in the movie. Unfortunately, it's like right as we were getting into the third act, I'm like, okay, can we wrap this up now? but
that's kind of interesting because I love the third act.
The finale is great, and there are moments in the third act. The first courtroom scene, fantastic, love it. And then I think it gets it's an important story point that they're addressing. But I just didn't find it very interesting. I didn't find the reasons why characters were doing things very compelling. I think at the end of the day, I was maybe most in terms of, and I'm doing lots of caveats here, and I apologize. It's fine. Good I won't caveat it, Tyler.
Have to qualify.
No qualifier
I feel
here.
like you have to qualify every statement, so you throw a caveat in. That's how you know it's a good movie.
I think Leo's performance was the most disappointing for me. I just think it's the least interesting. He makes some interesting choices, but I never felt like his character motivation was well put on. Like, I didn't really understand why he was doing any of what he did. And part of that is, I think, his character. I think they kind of made him a little dull on purpose. I don't know if that's how he is in the book, in real life. But, how they then lay out the rest of the film for what is happening and, you know, what his response to these things are, it just becomes like it's just happening and he's just there versus he's making decisions that push or, you know, really change his character.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Luke,
I
counterpoint.
mean,
Counterpoint.
My counterpoint to that would be I saw his character as a conflicted idiot. Because there's at points where you're like, does he love her? Does he not? What are his intentions? I don't think his character really even knew.
Yeah.
A lot of times, because there's even like with his car, where he's like, "Hey, steal the car."
Yeah.
Like he's an idiot. He's not an idiot, but he's not like Robert De Niro's character is pretty smart in everything that he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like Leo was trying to kind of replicate that a little bit because ultimately he's greedy.
Right.
So that's kind of how I saw it. I would say out of the performances of the leads, I guess. I'd say he's in
sure.
third place.
Yeah.
Freaking Lily Gladstone was awesome.
Yep.
And Robert De Niro was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But
vintage De Niro for you.
Oh yeah, he was back, baby. And then kind of going back even to you're talking about Martin Scorsese's making this like as a white guy.
Yeah.
I think also his wheelhouse is crime movies.
Sure.
And like most of his movies are from the perspective of the not so good people.
Yeah.
And so like I kind of understand where like his viewing of just the story is even from.
That makes sense. No, I completely understand. And
but like I completely agree with a lot of the people that are like, I would have liked to see the Osage side of this.
Mm-hmm.
But I also like I feel like a lot of people would be nervous to try and tell that story.
Right. I think you need to get a different creative team.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to your point, kind of to see that in this movie would have added another 45 minutes probably.
Oh yeah.
This movie is pretty. It's stuffed to the brim, but it is also pretty. It's a fairly slow paced film. Mm. It does make you feel that 3 hours and 40 minutes or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's not I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I do think the film is too long, but part of that length, it really makes you feel things like the murders. Mm-hmm. It makes you sit with them in a way that a lot of, you know, other crime films will just kind of rush through. It's not as much about the death or the murder. It's about the detective trying to solve it, right? Mm-hmm. And so that you move past this tragedy, but these tragedies are, you know, so connected, so interconnected in terms of family and who they are, that this kind of extended second act really does let you kind of sit with those for a longer period of time, which is nice. Mm-hmm. It's different, but it's nice, and I still kind of wish it was shorter.
I don't
know how to make it shorter without.
I don't know what you cut out.
Yeah.
There's probably scenes that can just be written shorter, but I don't know which ones, because they're just conversations. Yeah. It's like, how do we make this conversation shorter? Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then also like there's some scenes where it's like, okay, you probably don't need that, but that was really cool. Yeah. And I'm thinking of like the camera shots through the flames. Which like I'm just like, oh, that's so cool. Does it need to be there? No, but don't freaking take it out either, because I freaking love it.
Yeah. What did you kind of think about the epilogue? No spoilers.
It kind of broke me.
Yeah?
Oh, dude, I did pretty good through most of the movie by not getting emotional, which is probably a problem.
Luke's a psychopath.
No, I cry so easy during the movies. But then, yeah, there's the last 5 minutes. slash last 2 minutes. Just like, gosh dang it. Ugh. But I thought it was really creative how they did it.
It was a really unique way of doing something that we see a lot in kind of these historical dramas.
It added a really nice personal touch instead of just being words on screen.
Yeah.
Which honestly I really appreciated. Not that words on screen is really a bad thing. But yeah, it finally kind of pulled everything over for me. It's just like, oh no,
the waterworks started
right when the credits start. Oh my gosh.
How many Oscars is this gonna be nominated for?
Let's see. Directing, best picture, directing, probably male and female
leads.
Well, will she be supporting or would she be?
She will.
Here, three Oscars for acting, depending on where she would go.
Sure.
Probably cinematography. Editing, maybe. I don't know. That one's impossible to really tell.
Same cinematographer as Barbie too.
Oh, really?
Oh,
dang.
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Working hard.
His name is Rodrigo Prieto.
Oh.
Okay.
So
not
Barbie,
really familiar.
He did Killers of the Flower Moon, and then he's done some other movies too. But more recently, he's been doing music videos for Taylor Swift. He did The Irishman.
Okay, so that's
he did Passengers and Silence.
Well, one of those is good.
He's Scorsese's buddy.
Yeah, it sounds like he's worked with Scorsese a lot recently, at least. So
yeah, I thought
Argo,
the movie
really?
We Bought a Zoo.
Oh, well, that's quite the filmography.
I thought the movie was absolutely beautiful, and I think part of that is okay. This is one of my absolute favorite things about this movie, and it was that they just went to Oklahoma and they filmed it there.
Yeah. It really does feel like Oklahoma.
The Midwest has made it finally into a movie. It's not Illinois. Well, I should say Midwest. Tornado Alley has made it into a movie finally. Like all of Superman stuff is like in Man of Steel and Justice League and all that was in Chicago or Illinois.
Yeah.
It's like they never actually come to our area to film actual Kansas or Oklahoma. And you know how you can always tell? It's not flat. It's not barren. Oh, it's just so nice to see those open fields of nothing, just land.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's so beautiful. I think Kansas is a super beautiful state, and I'd say that about Oklahoma too. They're pretty similar. Oklahoma's probably a little prettier, but it's like the simpleness of it. I really like. There's like a sunset shot in the movie, and it's just like, yeah.
I'm sure the colorist just had a blast with that, right? Like, how do I take this perfect sunset and just enhance it?
Mm-hmm.
What a job!
But yeah, just them actually coming here to show what it actually looks like here was super nice.
Yep.
I would be curious though with like, what was a special effect in this movie, or if it was just like most of it was all practical.
Probably
stuff.
Rotoscoping, like reflections out of
just the basic
doors and mirrors and glass and stuff like that. There's probably some like crane equipment, shadow removal. It's those basic things that you don't think about ever.
The same things that are in Oppenheimer.
Yeah. We had this big old rig, and we had to compensate.
And the
for the
Olivia Rodrigo music video, obviously. Take that out for that.
Dude, I finally paid attention to that commercial.
It's
Sorry. Horrible. Sidebar. It now pisses me off too.
It's stupid. That
it's so
commercial / music video is probably a $5 million budget.
Yeah.
And they're like, we filmed it on an iPhone. Okay. Nobody was actually holding the iPhone though, so how do I relate to this? So stupid. Anyway, Kills of the Flower Moon. I also love the soundtrack.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty simple too, but it's beautiful, especially like very end of the movie, like the very last shot with the shot of the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And it just goes into the credits with the music. I was like, man, this is good stuff.
Yep. All right. Well, Luke, at the end of the day, you said it was your number one movie of the year.
It is.
Is it safe to say this is not a dumpster fire?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
So next up, we're gonna move up the
Straight
ladder.
to
Straight to
no.
streaming. This was made by a streamer for a streaming service.
Listen, honestly, here I'm gonna be completely honest. I give this movie a booyah. I think if somebody likes movies, they should watch it because it's just brilliantly made. That was my whole letterbox thing. I think even though it is from the perspective of Leo and Robert De Niro more so than The Osage, I still think it is a really important story to hear.
Sure.
That being said, I know it's 3.5 hours long. I know it has a slow pace, and I know that's not everybody's jam. So when this thing pops up on Apple TV Plus, I think you should 100% get some corn, pop it, sit down, and watch it. Yep. Whether that's half of it now and half of it later, just watch it because it's brilliant.
Nice, love it. I'm gonna give it a fanboy worthy. I think it is. Like I said, I think it's technically incredible. If you're into filmmaking, watch it. You're gonna learn a lot about filmmaking. If you are not, but are into movies, I think it's a really great movie. I think it tells maybe the least interesting story. But I like kind of I hadn't really thought about it from Scorsese's perspective. Like he is like
he tells the
crime guy who tells gangster movies, and this is that. It's
1920s Western.
Right. And so I hope to see more stories from this culture, from the first people, from Native Americans, from the Osage, and I want to see them told from their perspective. That said,
I got a TV show you can watch. It's not a historic piece.
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservation Dogs.
Reservation Dogs. Yeah.
Really good.
I've watched season 1. It was great.
Great show.
Need to get into season 2 and 3.
Great show.
That said, I still think this is a really important. Like you said, I think it's a really important piece of film history. And Lily Gladstone, man,
she was so freaking good.
So good. If anyone, if I had to pick one Oscar to go to this movie, it would be for her. It would be for her. Everything else is window dressing around her performance, I think. And I wish she did have a little more to do, but what she did was great. So yeah, definitely a recommend from us.
Awesome. Okay. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, I hope you get to watch it in theater, Tyler. If not, like Luke said, it'll be out on Apple TV Plus in not too long. I think around Thanksgiving is when it's supposed to be out, so 3-4 weeks. And right? Is that Thanksgiving's only 3-4 weeks away?
4 weeks.
So sweet. We can move on. Hold up. In the chat. I've been ignoring the chat. Sorry, Baroque. I would have liked to see better representation for the Osage. They could cut out Robert saying chop, 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 chop 100 times. And I call it a mobster flick dressed as a Western. We kind of came to that conclusion, right? Like it's that kind of underbelly of, how the West was won, whether that's pretty or not, and oftentimes it's not pretty. So
not pretty. It
wasn't not pretty, but
wasn't exactly won. It was more like
stolen. That's what I mean. All right, the next thing that Luke and I did that Tyler did not was sorry, Ty. I promise you'll get to talk at some point tonight.
I watched half of this show.
Okay,
I'm through 4 episodes.
Okay,
so I can talk a little bit.
Tyler can talk a little bit about the fall of the House of Usher. Luke and I finished it, but since we've been talking, Tyler, why don't you kind of give us your impressions after the first 4 episodes?
So through 4, I've really enjoyed it. I did see Luke's Letterboxd review, so I'm a little concerned about the ending of this thing.
Well, I have good news for you real quick. I am in a vast majority. I mean, minority. I'm an idiot.
I was gonna say, how does that
like-
make it feel better?
I was like, I haven't seen
Good night,
any
everybody.
bad reviews for
See ya.
it.
I'm an
so,
idiot. Love you guys.
I'm really
Gosh,
enjoying
dang
it. I kind of love this through line of I can't even remember Homeboy's name. Daddy Usher.
Roderick.
The through line of his
Roderick.
character telling the story, and really that's where 90% of your scares, to me, in my opinion, are. But I really have enjoyed those moments, those scenes, the tension they create. A little bit of the Flanagan thing where there's stuff happening kind of out of frame that you can see, but I just really love that from a technical standpoint. But I've kind of grown to think of this show as maybe this is why I'm enjoying it so much. But I've kind of grown to think of this show as just an anthology, and every episode is just focused on a new character, right? And like, it's working for me. It's not, it's not breaking anything up.
Yeah. Cool.
Luke's laughing. Luke, why?
Yeah,
are you
I
laughing?
just think it's funny because so I'll just say it real quick. I thought it was fine, but extremely disappointed just based on Flanagan's reputation. I think it would have been better if it would have been a straight up Edgar Allan Poe anthology. I think the story they add in is kind of just nothing. Just it's there to kind of blend it together, and I think just being like, hey, boom, here's The Pit and the Pendulum by Mike Flanagan would have been more interesting to me.
Sure.
I think
Yeah,
that's
I think that's
funny how we kind of think that completely different but the same almost.
Yeah, I think the connective tissue of like the story they're telling, right? Of they're doing the entendre thing, right? Like, this is the fall of the House of Usher, so it's how they've come down as well as how family has been brought down from killing them all, right? But I just think of it as an anthology. Like, every episode I'm getting a new character, I'm getting a new story with that character, I'm seeing what they went through, and then I'm moving on because they're gone, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care anymore. But I would agree, like, to an extent, Luke, I think the overarching story is kind of whatever. But like, each episode on its own, from an enjoyment standpoint, I really like. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's different. It's not really formatted like anything I've watched before. I don't know. It's working for me to this point, but I feel like the ending could obviously sway that.
I'll say that it worked for me through the ending as well. I think it retains, and especially in that last episode, it retains some very Edgar Allan Poe-esque vibes.
Oh, that's the other thing. You're not an Edgar Allan Poe guy.
If you're not into American Gothic, yeah, it's not gonna work for you.
It's weird.
But I think they do a good job. I know one of Luke's big criticisms is none of the characters are really likable. I think that's
It's kind of a mix of that and the fact that I think the performances are all over the place and borderline irritating.
So what I'll say is, for me, I think they did a good job of offing
the worst character in the show first.
But yes. I think they do that. I think they do that all the way through the end. I think they're constantly, who is the one that needs to go next, and they're kind of building towards the ones that have the more interesting stories are the ones that survive the longest.
Disagree with that.
They don't get a ton of stuff to do outside of their own episode. It's just kind of a reaction to what happened in the previous kind of what's happening in the previous episode, and there's like this little mini story, and then at the end of it it's usually and we're moving on.
You know what it reminds me of, and this could be way off base. Sorry, Brett.
No, you're fine.
You off.
You're fine.
But you guys watched that show Tales of the Loop, and how it's like a bunch of different stories set within the same thing? That's what this feels like.
It's definitely different.
Okay, Tales of the Loop's done way different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
very few connection in Tales of the Loop, except
Gotcha.
from the only thing that connects it is like the loop, and then like a character will pop in for a second, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I remember them," but they're have no impact on the episode whatsoever.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. I also really enjoy is it Greenwood?
Bruce Greenwood, yeah.
Bruce Greenwood, I think, is an excellent choice for Roderick Usher. He's just got that voice that I could listen to all day, even when he's a bad guy. You know,
Yeah, he's good.
The sister, I cannot remember her name.
Older or younger?
Older. No, aren't they twins?
I'm timeline wise, like the young Matilda. Maybe?
Oh,
or
older.
Okay.
Madeline, but it's Mary McDonnell is the older version.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy her character much at all. And to Luke's point, I do think this is maybe the roughest dialogue I've seen in a Flanagan project. It just kind of feels like yelling at the screen sometimes. And that can work for a character, maybe two characters. But as soon as it kind of branches and it's like, okay, well, this family has obviously been influenced by this matriarchal figure who is, somehow kept it together externally for everyone to see, but clearly they're all a little crazy and they're all just kind of happy to say whatever. I think the writing gets a little weak there. She has kind of a little rant at the end of in the final episode. Rant is maybe not the right. Well, it is kind of a rant.
Soliloquy.
Her little monologue.
Come on, let's keep it poetic here.
Soliloquy.
And aside, today I went to the mall.
That
It
is
was
just
raining.
It's way less interesting than like anything Bruce Greenwood delivers, which is all the Edgar Allan Poe-esque stuff.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Did not like, what was her name? Madeline. Honestly, at all. Even like what her character is
I just think they feel like
doing.
two different characters.
Like as
Young
younger
and old
older?
Madeline.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's some explanation by the end of why Madeline is the way she is. I don't think they wrap it up all that well. I think there could have been they could have done a better job of bridging. Here's why she was this way as a child, and how she became as a young adult versus how she is as this matriarch. Because they do kind of have the three different time periods. And it does kind of, especially between the young Madeline and middle-aged Madeline, there's a bit of like why is she this way?
And kind of, I think the stuff when they're young adults is not good. I don't think Zach Guilford was good. I don't think he like matched Bruce Greenwood's essence at all.
Well, there's just a disconnect. I think he does a fine performance, but again, there's not that like, how did he become the Roderick, senior, the patriarch,
and even
right?
like when he kind of does, it's like, okay, now I'm Bruce Greenwood.
It's so much like that. You're absolutely right.
And then I think the health inspector guy, the lawyer guy,
the district attorney.
Yeah, he's in both timelines. Both versions are great.
Yeah, he's good.
Honestly, he was carrying the flashbacks for me. And just like watching, I think it's Will Fitzgerald and Zach Guilford act, it's just kind of like, like watching planks of wood act, man. Let's get on with this. But at the same time, probably one of the biggest problems I had was episodes 2 through 7. All have the exact
all of the
same
episodes
structure, and it was so annoying. It's intro where, oh my god, we're reacting because something just happened.
Yeah.
And then it's angry Bruce Greenwood to the family, like, hey, da, 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 da. And then we go to Bruce Greenwood talking to district attorney, and something scary happens, and that goes right into a flashback. and the flashback leads back into the present day, and we kind of just are angry at each other again, and then somebody dies, and that's the episode.
Yeah.
Episodes 2 through 7 were just that. Different people die.
It's different characters.
But it was like every episode had one flashback.
Yeah.
It was like I needed some variety. That's one of the great things about Tales of the Loop, was like every episode was almost a different genre.
Yeah.
And had a different story structure.
I feel like the flashbacks are meant to be that variety, but kind of like you said, they're not interesting enough to really give you the meat and potatoes, or even the spice, right? Like maybe they're not the meat and potatoes, right? The meat and potatoes should be the killings.
They're like
the downfalls,
some seasoned green beans on the side.
Right.
Man, this meat is good. But
what is that little? That should be the special sauce, and it never really brings it.
Yeah.
It's always like, okay, we're moving that story. We're learning a little bit more about, kind of peeling back the layers of the onion, but it's not enough to go like, oh, wow.
Yeah. And then just like with the structure, every episode to me had 2 scary moments. The show was not scary at all to me. I think the scariest part in the entire show was the flashback when they were young kids with their mom.
It was great. Great flashback.
It's awesome. But like,
awesome.
One scary part was always Bruce Greenwood talking to District Attorney. I need to get these names, man. Like, and it was always like an out of nowhere. It was always the same way. And then the other one was like, okay, now Verna's here to kill this person. And Verna killing people was always very entertaining.
Oh yeah,
I always found that enjoyable, excluding one, which I think they could have done better on. But yeah, 2 through 7, I'm just like, okay,
kind of a slog for you.
I get what we're doing here.
Yeah.
I can just wait until the end and see how the person dies. And because the characters, their interaction felt fake to me, like I would have liked to see them be a family. And like maybe in episode 1, it's like, hey, we get along. Turns out maybe we're all liars and we all hate each other. And like it was all extremely one-dimensional. It's just like, hi, I'm the youngest child and I'm an asshole. Hi, I'm the oldest child and I'm also an asshole.
Yeah, the decision, and it was kind of what we said in our impressions when we talked about this initially. The decision to make a show with all characters that are unlikable is definitely different for him.
Yeah.
And it sounds like for you guys that kind of impacts it pretty negatively throughout. I think for me, like the additional thing that really kind of has annoyed me a lot in this show, and a lot more than I would have expected to, is like there's so much focus on sex in this show.
It's so annoying.
There's a lot
like,
of that.
It's egregious.
There's
it's
almost
egregious.
just
like it's
even just
it's
the
weird.
swearing too. It feels so unlike Flanagan to me, and at least in what he's giving me on Netflix. I haven't seen everything of his, but like just even the episode. It's episode 2. It's the worst episode with Perry. It's the Mask of the Red Death episode. Hated it. Did not like it, and it's probably where everything just went downhill for me.
Sure.
Because I thought that episode was awful. Just having to listen to that character talk was easily the worst part of the show. And his conversation with his sister-in-law or whatever, it's like, oh my gosh, I hate this so much.
Yeah.
Luke, I was watching that episode and I was like, man, this is hitting all the buttons I don't like in things.
Imagine the perfect in your hands. Shut up! Oh my gosh. I'll use the word, it was cringy.
Yeah. I think that from the moment he walks into like the boardroom and they're undergoing the audit and he starts like acting stupid in the audit, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if Mike Flanagan's ever seen what an audit looks like, but it's not this. Yeah, it was just, I don't know. That episode
that's a really good point. I don't think he's ever seen what an audit
like and I think that episode is definitely the weakest of what I've watched so far as episode 2. I did not like it.
It's by far, in my opinion, the weakest. And I'll say this. I really liked episode 1, And I do think episode 8 is really good because it doesn't follow that structure. It is a little different. I was disappointed with the ending, but episode 1, at least it ended on like a good episode. So if it didn't, it probably would have been bad news for Luke over here on What the Fanboy Monday.
I don't know if I could. This is just kind of what when we deconstruct things. Like if I could simplify this to maybe reduce some of that redundancy on episodes 2 through 7. Like if I had to pick, I think episode 1's great. I liked 2, or no, sorry, not 2, 3 with the chimp.
Kate Siegel's character, yeah.
Yep. I think not 4. 5 I think was good. I wouldn't have probably kept
Telltale?
6. Yeah, the Telltale Heart.
Yeah.
I liked that one.
That one was kind of a miss for me for a
very specific reason.
It's one of the I don't know a lot of Edgar Allan Poe, but I know that one and I know The Raven.
Oh.
And just the way the Telltale Heart was kind of just used was honestly pretty boring.
Gotcha. And then I think 7 and 8 I think are both good enough to kind of keep in there. So, cutting out 3 of those middle episodes I think could have, and bringing that cast down, I think could have made this a little tighter, and maybe a little more bearable if you're not into that over and over.
I
getting
think
the same
best
structure.
Death is Rahul Kohli's character with the cat.
I didn't mind that episode.
I think it was probably the only part in the show where I went, oh, Win and Sweetie.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen this episode, right?
No, he has not.
I thought he said he's watched 4 episodes.
Oh, yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is episode 4.
Okay.
Yep.
So I guess if you haven't watched the show yet, a little spoiler here. It's one of the more interesting things, but it's when he popped the cat's head, and the eye popped out.
Oh, yeah.
And then Verna's eye was popped out. I was like, okay, that's cool.
That is cool. Yeah. Yeah, and to tie it all together, right? Like I do think Verna is a good character, and Carla did a great job.
The most I was ever entertained was when she was involved in a scene.
Yeah, for sure.
Her, Bruce Greenwood, and Carl Lumley, District Attorney.
Yeah. Are you guys looking at the IMDb page right now?
I'm on it. What's up?
Okay, so don't look, but do you know what the lowest rated episode in this show was?
Oh,
If you had to
probably
guess.
2?
No. It's not. It's gonna be something insane like 8.
1.
No, episode 1 is the lowest rated episode of the show.
Interesting.
At a 7.6.
That's still pretty good.
Yep. Highest rated is episode 8.
Good.
Episode 1 was my favorite.
Like honestly, you could take 1 and 8 and just kind of book it. Like that's a fun little 2 hour.
Oh, sorry, no. Oh,
2
yeah,
hour
yeah,
thing.
Never mind. I'm right.
Right? Like, I get the taste. I get the
green beans,
the appetizer, and the dessert.
You get the resolution. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've talked about this long enough. Luke, what do you give this?
It's a Matthew McConaughey for me. I know it was pretty negative, but it's still it's fine. It was fine.
It was fine. It was fine. I'm gonna give it a fanboy worthy. It's a fairly low fanboy worthy for me. To caveat it, I guess. Like in my list, it falls in the lower half of my fanboy worthies this year. Fun fact, though, currently right now, the 2 things I reviewed tonight, both Killers of the Flower Moon and The Fall of the House of Usher, are currently ranked 7 on my movies and TV shows.
Oh, let's see where this is ranked on my TV shows. This should be fun.
I just thought it was funny that they both ended up in the same rank.
I already said Killers of the Flower Moon was 1.
Yeah, we know where that's at for you,
It
sir.
was so good. I cried. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta move my phone because football's on it. Football. 20.
Oh wow, yeah. You've watched way more TV than I have.
20 out of 26.
I've only watched 15. That can't be right. Surely I finished something else since then.
You probably just forgot to write it down. I do that a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
As long as Citadel is the only thing that matters, and it's last.
All right. Well, let's talk about some news. Tyler, why don't you hit us with all of your news stories you've got? If you have any.
Rapid fire. I have a bunch.
All right. Well, we haven't heard you talk for a while, so.
Yeah, so Kevin Feige's been talking a little bit lately. He announced this week that all previous Marvel movies, everything, not just Disney Marvel, everything Marvel is canon moving forward. So that's the Fantastic Fours.
Brett's favorite word.
Stick.
Well,
let's do the thing that Brett loves and put everything into one giant multiverse pot. So Brett, congratulations.
They had to do that.
I bet you wish what you're sipping is whiskey.
Look. When you make everything that valuable, guess what it does?
Devalues.
It devalues everything.
Inflation.
So, great. Congratulations on me not caring. Whatever.
Yep.
The whole reason I didn't do the Infinity War thing with you guys. Just I don't care.
Who cares?
But yeah, wow, inflation in Marvel Cinematic Universe. Who would have known?
Who would have thought?
But I mean, they have to do it so you're prepared for Deadpool 3. So you got to watch every Marvel movie ever made to prepare for Deadpool 3.
Yep, because that's what they do now. They give you a homework to watch their movies.
I'm just tired, guys. I'm just so tired.
Really stupid. So here's my favorite news story of the week, and I think this is the absolute best way a game studio can leak something. No one will top this. The protagonist for Assassin's Creed Red, the Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan, was leaked today on a developer's banner on, wait for it, LinkedIn.
Nice.
It was leaked via LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Looks like you're going to be playing as a female assassin in Assassin's Creed Red. Again, set in feudal Japan. I think this is,
which do we know what kind of Assassin's Creed game this is?
This is like Valhalla, Odyssey, Origins. This is a big one.
Hopefully not too big.
Yeah, I think
hopefully Ghost of Tsushima 2 doesn't come out.
I know we'd be feasting in feudal Japan.
I have a very easy choice to make with that, unfortunately, and it's Ghost of Tsushima 2. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, I probably.
Even though I don't think that's even
choice.
Has that even been announced yet? I'm so here making stuff up. Okay, so
it has not been announced, but it has also not been debunked. So
I'll speak it into existence. Like Aaron Rodgers.
Love it. Couple Amazon Prime stories. We got the release date for the Amazon Prime Fallout show coming April 12th, 2024. This is Jonathan Nolan's project. I'm excited about this. Yeah. With what he did with the Peripheral, I trust whatever he's doing. I trust it'll be good.
He did Westworld too.
Looking forward to it. Yeah.
Yep.
It's that team. Mm-hmm. And then they also announced that Gen V will be renewed for season 2. And with that, I guess Gen V ends with a kickoff to The Boys season 4, and Boys season 4 will end with a kickoff to Gen V season 2, and they'll just kind of flip flop.
They're doing the Marvel thing.
I was kind of waiting. I think the show looks good, but dude, I was kind of like, maybe I don't want to watch this. Am I gonna have to watch it now? Maybe is there a Spark Notes version?
I bet you could just watch the final episode and get whatever that kickoff is.
I might just watch a YouTube recap and watch the final episode.
Yeah, there will be something super easy that connects it all. You'll probably get it in the Sizzler at the beginning of season 4, honestly.
Dude, there's honestly the problem now is there's too many good games. It's not even like shows and movies. There's too many good games. And I'm spending my time doing those.
It's like the golden age of being a fan of any of these things, and the problem is there's too much of it.
I guess it's an okay problem.
It's like what a first world cried.
Yeah,
yourself.
It's a good problem.
Whatever. Cry me a river.
Too much good content out there.
My last news story: John Rhys Davies will be reprising his role as Gimli in Lord of the Rings: Return to Moria. That's dope. Looking forward to it.
Cool.
I believe that's an animated movie.
I thought it was.
So looking forward to that.
The Moria? I think it's a game.
Is it?
I think so.
the animated movies, the War
Ride
for
of the
Rohirrim,
Rohirrim or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Sorry. You're right. It is a game. My apologies.
Hopefully,
Still
it's
awesome.
not the Gollum game. This game was written by ChatGPT.
All right.
So that is the video game. Still super cool.
Yeah. All right, Luke. What are your news stories?
Let me bring it up. Matthew Vaughn was talking a lot this week. And I thought this was super interesting. One of the things he talked about was Star Wars. And he thinks they should reboot it. And I have a quote here, and I just kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on rebooting Star Wars.
You want to see me throw up?
Why are the Star Wars characters so hollowed that from 1977 that you can't redo it for a new audience? Should they reboot
That's
Star
interesting.
Wars?
So what they're saying is the Skywalkers, why are they like the only things we're interested in, or that the only things that they're really interested in making movies about? Why don't we reboot it and retell that story for a new generation with new characters? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think what he means
with
is
new actors.
New actors to
same
retell
characters.
A New Hope.
Nope,
and
don't need
Empires.
that. Nope. Okay, nope.
Here's my response
Big pass.
to Matthew Vaughn. People are tired of the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Like, that was, honestly, it was the point of the sequel trilogy, was like, we're doing this, and then we're done.
And we're killing them all off.
And then, now it's, hey, why don't we do something really cool and new? And, honestly, I am 100% okay with them eventually being like, okay, you know what? We're just going to reboot Star Wars. Because he's right. If they reboot it, it's great. Has maybe a new spin on it. They do something interesting with the story, but it's the same characters. That's fine. I'm all about new stories. But right now, no.
Yeah, it's a bad time. Bad time to be doing that. Especially since 7, it felt so much like a reboot, anyways.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, we got the same thing, but with new character. Oh, but Han Solo is still here. I don't know.
No, he's pretty dead.
But at the end, he was.
He was just,
Was he a walking corpse? Was Chewie like walking around like a puppet?
Yeah. I think Kylo was just like, oh, I want my dad.
I'd prefer not to reboot Star Wars. I think I'm with Brett here. I don't know, man.
Oh, I would prefer them
pretty
not
big.
to. But
yeah,
I'm talking in 28 years. That's a weird number to pick.
That was a very interesting number. What would that be? 2040? Nope. 2051? 2?
2050. Who cares?
I don't do math.
2050 plus. Yeah,
2051.
But to do that, they have to stop making Star Wars. That's
no, for sure.
They'd have to stop making stuff. If they keep making it,
reboots don't work if you have a ever-growing, continuous story, right?
The only thing it works with is Bond, because that's the identity of Bond is hey, we have this Bond actor. Oh, okay, we're gonna start over. Bond movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, he's too old. Okay, we're gonna start over.
But even then, you're not telling extended universe stories with Bond, right? You're not telling stories that require you to know this Bond is Bond at this time, and this is what's happening in the world, so you can get why Moneypenny is now a agent, right? That's just not a thing. Whereas in Star Wars, you need to understand, where does Ahsoka come from? Oh, from Rebels. What happens in Rebels? Oh, this. How is Luke Skywalker tied in with all of that? This is how. And, I think you can get away with it when you're doing kind of these... Even if you have a short series featuring the same lead, and that's kind of its own united thing, you can get away with rebooting it because there's not this grand, expansive thing that is... I don't know. They're also not telling the exact same story every time.
Yeah.
It's not that different, let's get real, but it's they vary it up. So
he also said something about Marvel, didn't
he? He was kind of talking about DC and Marvel. He talked about how Feige needs to go back to less is more. How they need to go back to making less movies but making them better and get away from just putting out as much as you can, which I think Marvel is going to do here pretty soon. Hopefully,
I think
they just have to be good.
Everybody thinks that. Yeah.
And then he was also talking about DC, how he really liked the Flash movie, and I think he's talking with Gunn and how something could be there, but we don't really know.
Man, he's been rumored for every DC project ever.
Yeah. I think the rumor though is for the Authority.
Oh man,
which honestly, like,
that would actually work.
The Authority or nothing. I don't really want him to direct them. Because he's even talked about what his Superman movie would have been. He's like, I would have just done the Christopher Reeves movie. He's like, okay, just don't do the Christopher Reeves movie. Like,
so clearly he's a fan of just rebooting things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
I liked First Class though, so I'd be cool with him doing the Authority.
Well, I think his Kingsman stuff hasn't been bad. I think
at its worst, it's been
fine. Yeah,
fine. Yeah,
and the freaking Kingsman: The Secret Service is awesome. Yeah. Freaking love that movie. I should need to watch that movie again.
We were just rewatching that the other day.
Yeah.
Nice.
My next story is actually Bond related. Ooh. Speaking of Bond.
Nice.
The Broccoli
estate.
Barbara Broccoli was talking about Bond, and they're just kind of talking about spin-offs, and she just straight up was like, nope, no spin-off TV shows.
Good.
I think she even said it dilutes our experience. That might have been a comment, and I just made that up.
I don't know, but if she did say it, that is thank you.
And whoever commented
thank you for saying that.
If it was just a comment too, whoever commented it, thank you. Getting everything mixed up in my brain, but I really like that.
I think the Bond IP is going to be a fascinating case study in like 20 years. What happens to an IP when you don't just sell it to a giant conglomerate who just needs it to make money for them so that they can continue to own. They have the distribution rights, but they have distribution. They don't own Bond.
Yeah, it's the Broccolis. Yeah,
like the Broccolis own Bond.
Yeah,
that's different from.
And then even then, it's like technically MGM has distribution, but Amazon bought MGM. So.
Right. But versus something like. Lord of the Rings is kind of weird too, but Lord of the Rings Embracer Group owns
the 3 books.
The 4 books? The ability to create certain things with that IP, and it's not locked down in a personal family. I don't know. The Tolkien estate essentially sold that, right? And I think when you retain a certain amount of control, you can control the value more than what capitalist corporations need it to do, which is to make the money so that their stock price goes up.
Yeah. And she also has kind of talked like it's going to be a while before the next Bond movie. So take your time. We all are okay with that.
Yeah.
Just make it good.
Absolutely.
Last story I have is just really quick. I think it's really cool. I think Tyler might like this. I don't know if he'll watch it though, because I don't know if he has HBO right now. But Hard Knocks. Oh, you do? Cool. Hard Knocks in season is going to be following the Miami Dolphins.
Definitely one of the most interesting teams in the league right now.
I don't really care about the Miami Dolphins, but there is a lot of personality on that team, so it could be very entertaining. Hopefully it doesn't make me hate their coach like the New York Jets Hard Knocks did. Freaking can't stand Robert Saleh because...
I think everybody will love Mike McDaniels. He's hilarious.
He's really funny.
He's what it looks like if a fan makes it as a coach.
His interactions with the press are always super funny. So I'm excited to watch that. They didn't put out a date though. It will just be out eventually.
Okay. I only have a couple quick stories. The first one is that the next Mission Impossible has been delayed. No surprise.
Oh, yeah.
2025. That's the actor strike is still happening, so there's no way they're filming, right? Like they just are not working.
Just imagine if they paid their actors what they need. That's crazy, right?
It's a crazy idea. You can release the product.
What a concept.
You could make money. You could hit your stock goals.
And they would lose
and then they would make
0.001%
well, they
of their
would
profit.
they would make money, but then they would spin it in accounting in such a way to make it look like they lost money, so that they could avoid paying taxes.
Laundering, love it.
I would love it. I would love it if Warner Brothers stock would go up for no reason at all, other than I own some. So let's get this party started.
Let's go. My last story is that, I mean, kind of on the back of the SAG-AFTRA stuff, those negotiations are starting up again tomorrow. So fingers crossed that things actually go somewhere. Supposedly they have not really been in good faith. The studios have not been negotiating in good faith up until this point, even once they kind of hammered out the writers' deal. So unfortunate, but
just do it, studios. Just do it.
Just do it. Just do it. Do it. All right, Tyler, what have you been up to this week?
So we kind of teased it at the beginning, but I was going to talk about Spider-Man 2. Just wanted to give some impressions, kind of talk a little bit about what I think of it. For starters, Brett, you've not played Spider-Man, right?
No, but I've not stayed away from spoilers for Spider-Man. So if you want to talk spoilers,
I've not beat
first one,
Spider-Man 2. I'm not going to talk spoilers, but I just want to ask. I think this game will be an interesting case study for Luke. I think because Luke liked Spider-Man 1 a lot, didn't like the Miles Morales game. And this is kind of just a
not good.
What?
I just thought the story for Miles Morales was so it was supposed to be DLC, and it feels like they didn't develop it at all. Learn my words. That was really.
You didn't like the combat either, though, right?
I thought it was okay.
So it's more of that.
It didn't feel as fluid as like I didn't think Miles's combat was as fluid as Peter's was, just based on like his powers and moveset.
Gotcha. So they've done some things with combat where they've added like a utility wheel, and you have a bunch of different attacks. Like you have the Iron Spider legs. Miles obviously has his Venom Punch and some kind of offshoot abilities from that.
Venom also has a Venom Punch, I bet.
Whoa.
Am I right?
Bet he does.
I'm so smart,
yeah,
baby.
So this game is look, I'm having a great time with it. I guess I have to qualify this statement. I really like it. I think it's fun. I think the story is very interesting. I'm very curious to see where things go. All that to say, it's Spider-Man all over again. It's the same game. And that's okay. That's okay. Like, I think it's important to acknowledge that. Like, I don't need you to rebuild this game from the ground up. I just need you to give me a good story set in this world and give me fun things to do in the open world. And they've done that. I think it's really fun. I've seen people complain about them reusing assets. Who cares? If you're having fun playing play the game.
That's dumb. That's a dumb complaint.
Every game reuses assets. I don't know if people know this, but video games are made from a bunch of other people's assets anyways. Like it's a stupid thing to complain about. It's more Spider-Man. If you've enjoyed the previous Spider-Man games, you're going to love this. I think the story is incredible. I still think give me OG Peter back. Maybe a hot take, maybe not. I know Luke agrees with me, but really love kind of the updated character models. I think they look good. I will say there are some like visual, I don't want to call them bugs, but like there's some weird clipping with characters. Like there's in cutscenes when a character like hugs, their hands like go through their backs and stuff. Like it's a little rough around the edges and things like that, but it doesn't break my immersion with the game. It doesn't make me think it's bad. I mean, those are small details. The story's really good. You're kind of dealing with the fallout of Miles' story from Spider-Man 1 forward. And I think the direction they're taking Peter in this game is super interesting. And, you know, slight spoilers, but Peter's trying to come to grips with, like, a career. And I just think that's such a nice thing to do with a superhero. It's like, no, like, yes, I'm a superhero, but also, like, kind of just want to be a dude. Like, I just want to be a guy. And I want to have a wife, and I want to work every day, and I want to do these things. And I just think that's so nice.
Are they married
breath of fresh air
in the game?
Huh?
Are they married in this game?
No, but
were they married in the
first?
first?
Talks about
he wants.
No,
he wants.
Remember, they're like broken up in the first game.
And then they get back. I couldn't remember what happened at the end.
I had been playing it because my daughter forces me to play Spider-Man if I ever turn on my PlayStation. So
Dang,
I've been playing
your-
Spider-Man 1.
Your dang daughter, man. Ah, darn it! I have to play a good video.
I know, it's like, dang it. But she makes me wear the Fantastic Four suit with the bag on my head, which is always kind of funny looking. But no, like the new suits in Spider-Man 2, fantastic. They look so good. There's so many cool designs. They've added like colorways for your suits, which I think is really fun. A lot of Miles' stuff is kind of like Prowler infused, which I think is awesome. Peter has a lot of cool colorways as well. And there's so much. Like, I feel like I'm Spider-Man when I play this game, right? Much like I feel like I'm Batman when I play the Arkham games. Like, I just love those moments. The moment-to-moment gameplay is very good. It's very clean. I've not had any. This is kind of true. I switched it to performance mode. I've not had any frame drops in fidelity mode. The minute the game started, it was framey looking, and I was like, "Oh boy, I don't know what's going on here." Like, and it's not bad, but you can tell like it's not like running as fluid as like, because I play Spider-Man 1 in performance mode, so it was like super noticeable. I think if I had played it in fidelity, I wouldn't have really said anything or thought anything of it. But because I play in performance mode, kind of how it works, especially in a game where like parrying and timing is important.
I feel like
performance mode is needed.
That was kind of the issue I had in Jedi Survivor too. Is like you put it in fidelity mode and the frame performance is just all over.
Yeah, it's so wild.
It's like it looks beautiful, and at this moment, even in combat, it's like it's working great. But then randomly, it's like we're just trying to make it look pretty, and it starts failing.
Yeah.
So like I prefer to play in fidelity, but I had to switch it to performance just so I could get consistency. Like I didn't care about 60 frames; I just wanted 30.
Yeah.
And I think I tell you this because in this game there is a parrying function now.
Yeah.
Not just like the dodge, but like there's enemies from Kraven's group that have these like swords or machetes, and when they attack you, you have to parry them, and if you don't, you can't really fight them back, right? So like it's just new mechanics like that. Interesting decisions with skill trees. You have three skill trees, one for each Spider-Man and one for both Spider-Man. I think that's kind of an interesting decision. It works. You get a lot of experience. You level up a lot, so it's really not that big a deal. But overall, man, I'm having a lot of fun with it. Yuri Lowenthal and I believe his name is Najee Jeter. Fantastic. They always do a great job. Also, shout out to some of the new characters that weren't in the previous installment. I really, really like Harry. I think he's a lot of fun to have around. Him and Pete's bromance is fantastic, and I think everybody will be really excited to see that. But yeah, man, I'm having a ton of fun with it. I can't wait to play more, and can't wait to update you guys. Hopefully, I can beat it soon. I know it's a pretty short game.
It's like 20 hours, isn't it?
I've seen people platinuming it in 20 hours. So,
so maybe like 15.
And yeah, that's my thinking. Is the game is maybe 15 hours.
That
I played like 4 to 5, and I'm at 20%.
That makes me so happy that it's not just a long game.
No, and I will say the open world stuff, like the little puzzling and stuff, is they don't give you great tutorials, but they're kind of fun to do. Like they're kind of little brain teasers, and I kind of appreciate the break from the moment to moment gameplay to do a puzzle. Like I just think it's nice. Like it's just cool. But yeah, no, I look forward to hearing your opinions, Luke, when you get around to it. I think you'll enjoy it for the most part.
Hopefully soon. I need to figure out my priority list for games I still haven't played. Spider-Man will probably move up.
I would play it if you can. I would play it before the Game Awards.
Yeah.
Because I do think it'll get some noms there, and I think I don't know if it'll get a Game of the Year nom, but it'll get some noms.
It'll at least be on the cusp. Like it will be like it could have been, but there's too many nominated, so it just didn't make it into the category. But
yeah, it'll make best action game or whatever.
Yeah, dude, it is so insane. Just like the list of Game of the Year contenders this year, and Super Mario Wonder also just came out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I saw some people saying this was my Barbenheimer, and it was Super Mario Wonder and Spider-Man. was like, that's pretty awesome.
Spider Mario.
Spider Mario. Yeah, and I mean, there's still so many games to come this year too.
Yeah, and even ones that I just missed. Like,
yeah,
I'll probably never beat it, but I want to try Armored Core 6. I want to fly around in a mech for a little bit.
Yeah.
What else?
Yeah,
what else was there? I'll probably never get to it, but I hear Sea of Stars is really good.
Yeah.
I've played it some. It's awesome.
I thought you were gonna be like, it's okay. No, just
no. It's really
awesome.
good. The
Garbage.
soundtrack is incredible, and the art design is beautiful. It's a really cool kind of, homage to those like Chrono Trigger and those kinds of games. It's really cool. Yeah. It's a fun experience for sure.
Yeah. And then,
Spider-Man 2 is dope. I highly recommend it. If you're on the fence about playing the Spider-Man games, get off of it and go play it. This just feels like Batman Arkham series games walked so this could run, and I think that's a great. I don't think that's a bad thing.
Is being not on the fence but not playing it yet okay? Just because.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you're gonna play it, so.
I need to look. I always write down all the stuff that I do. I want to play Mortal Kombat 1 eventually. Avatar
is gonna be like $20 at Black Friday.
Yeah, I'll probably just wait for it to be
it
on Game Pass. It'll probably be there eventually.
Also true.
Yep.
I still want to play
Pass,
Immortals of Avium. It just looks like a fun game that will be like 10 hours.
That's going to be on EA Play at some point too.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. And then Avatar comes out this year in December.
Yep.
That one might.
Speaking of Game Pass too, kind of a retread, but like the Dead Space remake is coming to Game Pass later this month, like this week I think, and I'd love to play that. I think that's really cool.
Like really
Dead Space
good.
is a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I played the first Dead Space for a little bit. That was okay. I played.
Yeah, it's a.
Did you ever see my dorm room at Tabor freshman year with the projector in our room?
I believe so, but I can't really remember.
So my roommate Kellen had a projector, and it's what we used to watch movies and play video games. So I turned off all the lights and I put on Dead Space, and it's like 150-inch, 200-inch screen.
Right.
Room. Oh, dude, something popped out, and it scared me so bad. I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this.
He put it down and never came back.
And it wasn't even that scary. It was a jump scare, but like the TV we had was ginormous, and I was like, we're not gonna do this. We're not gonna do this right now.
Well, Luke, was there
awesome.
anything you did this week that made you jump scare?
Jump scare.
Or okay, just what did you do this week? I'm just trying to move us along.
When that lady screamed
oil,
I
went a little long on Spider-Man.
No, you're good. You're good.
I jumped when that lady said oil. Oil. I did two things. One I'll just mention real quick because I've been doing it for like the past month, which is play lots of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yep.
It's primarily what I do when I'm not doing anything else. The more you play that game, the better it gets. It is absolutely incredible, and people need to play it. Moving on. The other thing that I did was Saturday night, about 3 hours after finishing Killers of the Flower Moon, I went back to the theater, and I got to watch Back to the Future in theaters. It was awesome. That is one of my favorite movies. And I've been getting to do it a lot recently, I feel like, which is watching classics in theater. And it was so much fun. The audience was laughing a lot, and it was a great audience. And the kid who was across the aisle from me, he's probably like 14 maybe, he had clearly never seen the movie, and his reactions were they were priceless. Like, at the end of the movie, when Doc Brown flies away, like right when the movie ends, I looked over at him, and sorry, podcast listeners, you won't be able to see my face. You can go check it out on YouTube. But he was leaning forward, hands on knees, and mouth just agape. Just it made me so happy to see him
That's awesome.
Just love the movie. It's one of my favorite movies, and I want everybody to watch that movie and love it just as much as I do. So, and yeah, to watch it in
That's
theaters
awesome.
was awesome.
That's really
Keep
cool.
bringing back the classics to theaters, please. I enjoy
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's one of the best things I think Regal has done is they put a lot of like old movies in theaters, and it's so great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice. Well, real quick, I did a few things. I watched Loki episodes 1 through 3.
Oh, nice. How was that?
It's a lot.
Do I need to watch it?
No,
Okay, cool.
it's not one. It's not one I'd recommend, at least thus far.
That's a huge bummer.
It is.
I don't know. I'm not really that bummed.
I just
Well,
think.
I'm not bummed that I don't have to watch it. I'm just bummed because I thought season 1 was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of chemistry in season 1 that just has not carried over into season 2 for a variety of reasons. But no, I've been disappointed by the first 3 episodes. We do slight spoilers, I guess. If there was any question of is Jonathan Majors going to be in this, he sure is. Episode 3 is all about him. So, some fun time hopping. And that's the other thing. They've done a very poor job of explaining what is going on with the branching timelines or where they're jumping, how they're jumping around through time and the repercussions of such things.
There's a multiverse. There's no repercussions.
It's a little chaotic. So, yeah, I don't have to recommend. The other thing I watched...
And everything is canon. So it's even
was
less repercussions.
the 4 Wes Anderson shorts.
You watched the Henry Sugar one?
Yeah. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar is the longest one, coming in around 40 minutes. And then there's 3 others that are like 15 minutes, and that's The Ratcatcher, Poison, and The Swan. I actually think the 3 short ones are better than the long one. The long one, they're all kind of in the same format. I think the Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar kind of overstays its welcome by the end, but the 3 shorter ones are fantastic, just little bits of storytelling. Very unique, very Wes Anderson, but at the same time it's Rolf Dahl? Ronald Dahl?
Roald Dahl?
Roald Dahl.
Roll the doll
down the hill.
And then roll Mr. Doll right after. Maybe the car will hit him.
So,
Roald Dahl.
Definitely.
Rolled.
If you're a fan of Wes Anderson, I think you'll probably enjoy all of these. That said, I think even if you're not, my rating, like if there's one to watch, it's probably The Ratcatcher. I thought that one was just a lot of fun. The Swan is kind of sad and interesting at the same time, kind of makes you mad. And then Poison is a kind of a goofier little one. It kind of ends up being fun. They all have their unique flavors. And then, yeah, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar kind of just feels like it could have been a 15-minute one instead of a 40-minute one. But anyways, that's what I did. We did have a couple Fanbox questions.
Oh, snap, son.
Real quick, Fanbox question from Trevor. I'm waiting to watch Fall of the House of Usher because I need to get a reread of the short story in first. What is your favorite piece of Edgar Allan Poe media? And I think he kind of means Edgar Allan Poe inspired media because he has books, film, TV. Is there something that stands out? Or it could be one of his original shorts or poems. Do you know anything other than The Raven?
Okay, I know some of his stories that he's written. The only stories I actually remember, though, like the actual story, is The Raven and Tall Tale Heart.
Mm-hmm.
I could not name something besides The Fall of the House of Usher that's based on one of his stories that I've seen, at least.
Yeah.
So I have a fun answer.
Okay.
I was looking up stories by Edgar Allan Poe, and much like Luke, like I've only read a couple. So I'm not even gonna go there. I think the ones I know are the same ones Luke knows: The Raven, The Telltale Heart.
It's the ones you read in school.
Yeah.
And you're forced to read in school.
Exactly.
So what do? Don't care.
Right.
Unfortunately.
So, here is my favorite Edgar Allan Poe inspired piece of something. The Baltimore Ravens mascots. They have 3 mascots. Their names are Edgar, Allan, and Poe. Those are my favorite.
I love that answer. In terms of inspired things,
only thing I can
No, go ahead.
The only thing I can think of is The Simpsons House of Horror.
It's a great one.
I haven't even seen it. I just know it from the commercials.
It's a great one.
That's the only one I can think of.
It's not on my list, but legitimately it's good. So
I'm not a Simpsons
I know
fan,
even if you're not a Simpsons if you're not a Simpsons fan, that makes it less intriguing, but it is really good. The Pale Blue Eyes,
the Netflix movie,
which was a Netflix film, is kind of loosely based around things. I think that's pretty good.
I just thought of one.
Yeah.
Altered Carbon.
What's it based?
The Hotel is Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And I think that's just the show. It's not a real character in the book.
Yeah.
I'll
just
also
season
throw
1.
I'll also throw in the Stephen King versus Edgar Allan Poe epic rap battle of history.
Epic rap battle of history. Those are great. In terms of like actual Edgar Allan Poe material, there's a couple that I remembered. I needed to look up their names because I haven't read them in forever. But one of them was featured in the Fall of the House of Usher, at least partly, and that is Lenore poem. And then the short story, A Descent into the Maelstrom, also I really enjoyed. It's been a while since I've read them, but...
Yeah, if you go to poststories.com, you can read a lot of stuff.
Yeah. The ghosts from Legend of Zelda. They're called Poes.
They're called Poes.
And I like The Legend of Zelda.
Okay, so we've got...
That was a stretch.
Oh, the Cask of Amontadillo. The Cask of Amontadillo is really popular, too.
Oh.
Or Amontillado. Amontillado.
Amontillado. We do have another question from Brandon Baroque in the chat. First, a comment before his question. So as you are just now finding out, I am from the Northeast KS area. So by extension, I'm a KC Mavericks fan. That means once hockey season rolls around, Wichita becomes the most rich hive of scum and villainy this side of Mos Eisley. My question is, are any of you guys Wichita Thunder fans, and will it affect our host-viewer relationship? Tyler, this question is for you.
Yeah, so I until my first daughter was born, I had season tickets to Thunder games. My wife and I love going to the Thunder games. So if you ever come down for one, let me know. I'll go with you.
All right.
I went with a game with Tyler.
And you guys can sit next to each other, and you won't kill each other. Promise?
It will not impact our dynamics.
Okay, perfect.
I am not that big of a Thunder fan, but I do enjoy going and watching them, and I do root for them.
The only Thunder team I care about is the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Also, Kansas City beat Wichita in Wichita season opener on Friday. So
in the chat, Baroque says, "I won't do the kiss cam with you." So.
Oh, never. Then you're not invited to go. That was kind of my whole play. Dang it! How did he know?
I will go with you, Tyler.
Okay, sweet.
Are any of you guys? Sorry. Also in the chat, Baroque says, "Did you guys see that the Frasier reboot dropped?" Yes. I am not a fan of Frasier, so I have not seen this.
Wait, it's out?
Yeah.
I thought the trailer just came out last week.
Supposedly.
I guess that was just them announcing.
They hot drop it. Now on Peacock, it's
cool.
free. What's it on?
Peacock.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm amazing sometimes. It just felt like a Peacock show, man. I've never watched Frasier.
The first
in my
two
life.
episodes are out.
Wow.
Maybe three. First three episodes. So. Yep. 10 episode season. So, all right. Yeah. Sorry, none of us are real big fans, Baroque. We haven't watched it.
You know what? I'll just go the opposite. I hate it.
Luke hates it. I haven't watched
I
it
hate
enough
the
to have a
idea of it.
judgment.
I hate that it's being made. It's just using
or
IP.
just mining that IP.
No, I don't care. I've never cared about Frasier, so yeah.
Very cool. All right, well, we are running almost an hour 45, so we're going to get out of here, and we'll see you next week when we review something. I don't know what is even coming up, but we'll be back next week. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out in the chat. Thanks for listening, or, just hanging out. So, Luke, you just lost a customer.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We'll see you.
So let's work for me. Goodbye!